Most people think that using Muslim matrimonial apps are the quickest way to find the spouse. The truth is, if one doesn't know how to use them correctly, the process can be harder and discouraging and even pull you away from wanting to get married in the first place. Now, I've spent years helping Muslim men prepare for making that biggest decision of their life, choosing the right spouse, choosing the mother of their children, the righteous wife, not just in finding matches, but in actually becoming that man, that righteous woman, the one that's trying her hardest to be a good woman, a good wife, a good mother, would want to follow. Today, I will show you, inshallah, how to find the hidden traps in these apps, how to avoid wasting your time with people that are not serious about this decision, and how to be, in the process of all of this, being the upright man that when that sister comes along, she sees you as the one to marry. Inshallah. Okay, the first thing is the challenge, or dare we say the problem. It is that when we say Muslim dating apps as opposed to matrimonial apps, we know dating is where a man meets a woman, woman meets a man, and they go out individually alone and have conversations, even if they're alone in a car, alone in a room, alone in a particular place. But dating is to where I am with her alone, communicating with her about whatever. Right? And that's where the problem can arise. So when we talk about Muslim dating apps, according to the Sharia, according to the Deen of Islam, and the objectives and etiquettes of the Muslim, we don't use the word Muslim dating apps. Muslims don't go on dates, for example. It's important to understand that it's a Muslim matrimonial app. That's the first thing that we need to understand. If we're trying to worship Allah and finding a woman that wants to voluntarily worship Allah in her actions, in her behavior, we don't choose a Muslim dating app. Rather, we choose a Muslim matrimonial app that initially, from the very beginning, I'm looking for a wife. I'm not looking to communicate time and time again throughout the days and the nights, communicating with her to see if she's someone that is worthy of my time, worthy to be my wife. This is important because, which leads us to the next point, is that when you continuously communicate, this is where the vulnerability is slowly being shed away to where the woman will eventually be more vulnerable with you and you with her. For example, you talk to her the first time, you find out, okay, where she went to school, how old she is, her family dynamic, where she's originally from, maybe her grandparents. Then you ask her some of the questions that you may want to ask her. Do you want kids? What's your view? Do you even want to get married? What's your view on education? These types of things. But then the second or third communication will get a little deeper. Now we just go into the chapter of family, for example. She talks about a relative that passed away and how close she was to him. And you mentioned one relative that passed away and how you felt. Now there's an emotional connection. This emotional connection in different chapters of their life, it sheds away from the vulnerability. She starts to become more vulnerable to you and sees you're that kind of guy that she would want to marry. The only problem with this is if you consistently do this alone, the expression of those emotions can come out. And that's where the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really needs to come in, because when she says something about you because of that emotional connection, you're so sweet, you're such a nice person. I knew that you would be the one that I want to marry. Or, I didn't know you were this. The continuous compliments, this is not the time for that. That emotional connection to where she expresses her interest in you. The more she does that, the more you have the opportunity to express your interest in her. And you haven't talked about the business. You haven't talked about those concrete things. The wali's not even in the picture yet. And y'all are already expressing your feelings and emotions about each other. This is when we talk about a dating app. That's what's on the line. That's what's going to happen. That's what's probable to happen when there is an opportunity for emotions about each other to be expressed, and there is no wali involved, there is no mahar and dowry involved, there is no next steps that are involved. That is when the Sharia says no. This is where it becomes haram. And on the flip side of this, when we look at the continuous communication without moving on to the next steps, that emotional toll can take place. So say the more he finds out about her, he realizes, man, after our 10th conversation alone on this dating app, whether it's through text or whether it's through voice message, just a communication, knowing that we are, on our way to being halal for each other, to where intimacy can take place, emotional connection, romance, let's be honest, right? When that is present and you refuse, you say, I don't think it's going to work, that emotional toll that it'll take on the sister, or the opposite, the emotional toll that it'll take on the brother, because you started out in a way that's not pleasing to Allah. You started out in a way that opens the vulnerability of each other towards each other. And there was no steps that the Sharia has implemented for you. So that is a potential problem. When we say dating as opposed to matrimonial, matrimonial gives a feeling of, I'm looking to get married and I want to talk about those concrete things before I even enter in the realm and the opportunity to be exposed to your emotions and vulnerabilities. And if that is even the case, there's someone there to mitigate that, and that is the wali. If you want to go from just being on the apps to being there with presence, competence, confidence, and clarity, to where you'll stand out to the right sister that is good for you, this is what we offer in our Premarital Academy. You will learn how to lead your search and protect your deen at the same time while finding the sister that is compatible for you, inshallah. Link is in the description. See you soon. Number 2 is the reality check. I mean, obviously you can tell from what I mentioned in the beginning that apps are not inherently haram. Marriage apps are not inherently haram. But I think the wording is important for us to get an idea and understanding of how we establish and maintain the Islamic principles and etiquette within technology. So when we're talking about Muslim dating app, we already talked about this. If it's dating to where the man and the woman are consistently alone and speaking to each other, it is inevitable that emotions will be exposed towards each other, which can lead to something even before talking about marriage and how you'll take care of her, etc. So the probability of that is high. Now, when talking about matrimonial apps, it's important to know that, from this, that apps are not inherently evil. It can serve as a means to that which can fulfill a wajib, can fulfill an obligation. So if the brother is really seriously looking to get married, but he's busy, he works a lot, and he's really trying to find himself in his career. He's trying to see where I fall in this equation of life. He's learning more about himself. As he's learning about himself, he's improving in his ibadah. He's improving in his taste, being in the places of worship, in the masjid, going to lessons. But he doesn't know the first thing and looking for a wife. And he doesn't know that many people in his area. He's in his residency, or he moved to a different city or a different country, and he's learning the language. This is where he can use the apps as a tool. The apps as a tool in getting acquainted with sisters that may have certain characteristics that he's interested in. And the apps serve as that. He fills in certain muwasafat or certain descriptions of who he is. He puts it out there, and depending on the makeup of the app, to where sisters can anonymously see you and then match with you, and then you become a match, that's when you lead on to the next steps. So apps are not inherently evil. It is something that is used as a tool for you to find that righteous wife. Now, this is important. We will find that brothers will continuously use the apps, but in reality, it's an escape. It's an escape from true implementation of masculinity. He's in a community where there are sisters, where there are fathers of these sisters, but he chooses to go through the app because he doesn't want to face the father face to face. This can threaten his masculinity. Why? He doesn't take on the responsibility of risk, of going up to the sister, or he communicates through the app to the sister through the app, and she's in the same masjid or in the same city. It is optimal, and the best situation before apps is to go straight to the wali, or if you see the sister, speak to her directly, express your interest, and then upon expressing interest, set up something to where you can meet the wali or her guardian in this. This is the best way. But as I mentioned, there may be some brothers that are not able to do that because of the areas that they're in. This is when you approach the app and you find a match, the next step is to go straight to her guardian after expressing your interest in her. Number 3, just a guideline for the brothers when using this app. Now, I'm speaking directly to the men. I mean, this is master man, right? So we want to make sure that we are speaking to the men that are potential leaders of families, inshallah ta'ala. So you're going to be leading the way through this app if you speak to the sister, meaning that when you express that interest and you start to converse with her, and then throughout the course of the conversation, you mention that you want to speak to the guardian. Where is the guardian? Is the guardian present? You don't want to get in the habit of, when you're bored, you don't have nothing to do, when you're waiting at the doctor's office, when you're in the locker room at the gym, that you just start to go through the app and you just start to scroll and look through systems. Good. Swipe left, swipe right. Maybe swipe left and swipe right is not a good app in the first place. But looking at the app and just using it as a favorite pastime, this is not how we want to use the app. We want to be very intentional, and we want to remember that Allah is watching us and Allah is listening to us, and He's watching what we type. That when we use that app, we're very, very intentional. When we see a sister that, okay, she looks, she's beautiful, I want to continue on and see what are her characteristics. Or there may be the app to where it doesn't show the picture of the sister yet, and you see the characteristics that you're interested in, which is actually even better, because you see what she's about, her education, what she likes to do. If it coincides with your non-negotiables, then that's the next step to move on. But not using it to swipe left and right. If the sister's face is showing, and yeah, she's beautiful, okay, let me see someone that's more beautiful than her. But you didn't even look at her qualities of that particular sister. That's where you want to be very, 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 very responsible when using the app. Don't use it as an escape just to look at sisters and to fill your desires with looking at sisters and having no intention of marrying either one of these sisters that you've looked at. But it's just rather to indirectly have a form of eye candy, right? You sit with your boys, yo, check this out. Yo, she's beautiful, man. But you're not really even thinking about marriage. You're just scrolling through looking at sisters. Let's be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that regard. This is very, very important. So the swiping should be intentional when looking for sisters for marriage. Now, I'm going to be honest. Some of you brothers use the apps to wean yourself off of porn. Now, it's important for you as well to be busy, brother. You have to be busy. And this is what we teach in Mastermind, that when you're not married, try your best to stay busy. You have a job, okay? Do you go to the gym? Okay, do you go to the gym? Have you taken on some type of martial art? Taking on different skills, meeting different people, being busy. Your Google Calendar should be colorful, that you're busy doing things, recreational activities, certain skills you can learn, buying new courses, finding a mentor. These types of things keep you busy, to where when you're on the app, you may have a certain time throughout the week that you're looking through the app. You have your non-negotiables ready, and you're ready to look through the app. And you're looking through the app meaning business. You're not looking through it emotional and lustful. You don't say the end of your day, okay, when I go to bed, I'm going to look through this and scroll through this. No, it should be at a time where you have energy and you're taking this very, very seriously, because it's a big decision. When you're scrolling at night and just scrolling through while you're in bed about to go to sleep, that doesn't show that you're really serious about this particular decision, which is finding the mother of your children, the wife, the one that you want to spend the rest of your life with, inshallah ta'ala. The second guideline is to work on yourself before you swipe. As I mentioned before, the brothers may use porn, to come off of porn, and using this as a way off, a way to not look at someone that is doesn't present themselves correctly, as in watching these videos or doing things that are totally impermissible. You're going to these apps, you're trying to find a wife, but you're scrolling through at night as well. This is where it's a challenge for you, but this is where you have to be, quote unquote, a man about it. Staying busy, as we mentioned before, and watching yourself and looking and working on yourself even before you swipe. Because if you're swiping and you mean business, that means you are the man that is ready to get married. But let's be honest. Are you ready to get married? Meaning, not lustful. I'm talking about you as a person, your behaviors, your emotions. Are you someone that has anger issues, and you need to at least speak to a mentor about it? At least, and at the most, have consistent therapy sessions while you're seeing some person of knowledge simultaneously. Do you need to work on that? This is something that is important. So before you swipe and look for a woman, You don't want that anger to carry over to her to where you may be physically abusive, verbally abusive. Were you the sibling bully? Were you the oldest brother or older brother that bullied your younger sister? You best believe it's going to carry over to your wife. When she says something, when she disagrees with you, when she raises her voice, when she may smirk at you, and you respond in the way that you would have responded to your younger sister. Or you may bully her by just making fun of her, and she doesn't like that, right? These things you have to be aware of. And that's where you have close friends that give you the nasiha. They give you the correct advice. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, ad-dinu nasiha. He said that the religion is giving good advice. It's giving good advice. So that's what's important, because when getting this app, don't just think that downloading the app will relinquish your responsibility and being honorable, being upright, telling the sister, look, we need to get the wali involved, cutting the sister off if she does certain things that are not befitting, right? If you're someone that is overweight, you have an eating disorder, there may be something you need to work on in regards to, that which could hinder the marriage. You need to work on that, and you need to get yourself checked out. So, for example, if someone may have ED, erectile dysfunction, and that's something that is there, are you working on yourself to alleviate that problem or to minimize it? Because if not, you will have to disclose that at some point before tying the knot. Now, working on yourself is another guideline that you really need to understand, because you're going to have to disclose those uyub, those things that could carry over to the marriage and possibly hinder the longevity of the marriage, which is important. Because the sister is looking for some security. She's looking for whatever you portray to be in that app. If you're portrayed to be someone that is financially responsible, you have a good job, but that, for example, you have been diagnosed with being bipolar, that's what you need to work on. There needs to be some people that you go to consistently. The fact that you're working on it and you're confident in who you are and asking Allah to bless you with a righteous wife, I guarantee you there will be someone out there that will want to marry you because you were honest, and because you are diligent, and because you are taking charge of your life. She would want to follow someone like that. So that's the second guideline, is to work on yourself before you work on any app and swipe left, right, up, or down. Third guideline is keep your intentions pure and clear and time bound. You want to be very, very clear with what your intentions are. I mean, you don't know who the sister is. You don't know what she's trying to do. It may be her wali that's typing. You don't know. Typing, you don't know. So it's very important to enter with the clear message what exactly you want. So some of these apps, it puts you together after you've matched with certain buckets, and it says, okay, based on the descriptions, the ambitions, the goals that you both have, we've coupled y'all together. So if you entered in upon that, I would kind of reiterate on certain things, certain points of the goals that you and her both shared, just to confirm, and then maybe ask her to expound upon that. But even with this, what I would do is, as soon as you come there, you have a defined time period. For example, I'm not going to communicate more than, a month with this sister, and converse maybe once or twice a week, if it's texting. But most importantly, on the second or third conversation, depending on how we were matched, I will ask and request the guardian, the wali, to be in the picture. Now, depending on the app makeup, he may be, in the picture, digitally, where it's three people in the room and you're asking questions, and he may interject and ask questions. This is what you want. This is what you want. And doing this and requesting this is very good for you, because it shows her that you're responsible, and it also will sift the sisters that are trying to play games. It'll sift them out, like straight up. And the ones that maybe came in with that intention, when she sees a strong, honorable man like you, that you're willing to just walk away, even though you clicked and there was a vibe, you're willing to walk away because you're following Allah's messenger, and you want a sister that is willing to follow that. She may change in that regard. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. But what's most important is that you keep your intentions clear and you're time bound. You don't converse for 3-6 months. You're very, very clear. You let her know exactly what you're looking for. And if that is the case and you see that there's more interest, this is when you have to stop and ask for the wali and get the family involved. before there's any emotional investment on your side even. You want to make sure that the emotional investment is not being approached, that it is not starting to show from her. As soon as that happens, you say, sister, I think we're getting to a point to where we need to get the wali involved. She may say something about you, compliment you, or something like that. You want to get the wali involved as soon as possible, because having the elders involved protects you from any kind of fitna or any kind of problems that shaitan can easily seep into when you are both talking about being halal for one another. So those are some guidelines that I wanted to give all of you. I mean, these are things concerning apps. Apps are not inherently haram, but if it was a Muslim dating app, my humble advice, I would kind of stay away from it, because it may be Muslims, mashallah, tabarakallah, but when it comes to voluntarily trying to practice and follow the deen of Islam, I mean, one of the standards is that Muslims don't date. We don't mix with the opposite gender to where we're speaking to each other numerous times and allowing emotions to get involved, and then things can happen that the wali had no idea about. And we don't want that. And that's not what Islam purports and calls to. So Muslims are apps, again, they're just a channel. They are a means for you to preliminarily meet someone to allow the wali and the marriage process with the wali and the guardian to get involved. And it should not be something that the Muslim men resort to initially. It should be something to where they may resort to if they cannot find anyone compatible in their immediate locations or from someone that they know within their network. So that's what we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to bless all of you brothers and sisters to find the righteous husband that fears Allah and the righteous wife that fears Allah in person, and if not, using the mechanisms from technology which Allah has created and granted us in a way that fulfills the guidelines that the Sharia has put forth. May Allah bless you. Zawwajakum Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.